our pets. But what they want me to share with everybody, and the reason we're on this little mission here, is to tell everybody that your loved ones are right there. Heaven's not far out there, right here next to you. And if you have loved ones who's passed on before, it could be a baby that was aborted after 3 spells old in the womb, or stillborn, or miscarried, or aborted, or a pet, or a loved one who's passed on. They're not someplace way out there that you can't touch. They're probably sitting right here next to you while you're listening to me talk. Because heaven's not way out there. God loves us so much that He made heaven right here next to us, so that our loved ones can always keep in touch with us. They can see you, they can be part of your life, and you can talk to them. And now I'm going to let Richard talk for a minute, and then I'll come back.
So when I brought her home, and when Jane and I first got together, she would sleep talk and she'd carry on these conversations. Well, when I brought her home from the hospital, all of a sudden, I'd ask her what she saw. Oh, I see a leprechaun, and I see a rainbow, and I'm here with your dad and your mom, and we're in this beautiful cove in Hawaii. Well, my dad grew up in Hawaii in a cove, and that's where they decided to make their home. That's their heaven.
What it looks like.
That's what it looks like, is a cove in Hawaii. And I have recorded these visions for the last 6 years. We kept them to ourselves for about 4.5 years. When Jane was little, she had a speech impediment, could not pronounce her R's. So when she talks to me on these recordings, she can't pronounce an R. But over the last 6 years, I have asked my parents so many questions, and they've shared with me so many stories. This is a tribute to my mom because she was born on September 20th, quite a while ago, and this is her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Mom.
So I am giving this to my mom tonight. But they have shared with us so many stories. They call me the little tyke, and I have so many little tyke stories that some of them I remember like it was yesterday. There's one where we grew some vegetables, and I put them in the wagon, and I put my little sister in the wagon, and I took them down to the grocery store, and I knocked on the door and I said, "Mister, would you buy my vegetables?" And he would. And this was a big thing for a little boy to go do something like that. And I remember like yesterday. Well, they have told me the story, and they've told me which candies we bought, and the whole story again. And just last night, my mom told Jane a little story in her sleep. I've never heard where Jane laughed so loud at this little tyke story, she woke herself up. But they have all the memories that they had in life that they relive whenever they want to. My parents relive the first time they met, the first time they held hands, the first time they kissed, when my dad went to go ask my grandpa for my mom's hand in marriage. They relive those things all the time, and I can hear through Jane's voice the crying and stuff, the emotions of all these things that they've done. But they've also been part of my life for the last 6 years. That I've had to ask them questions when we were doing work or things like that, and they've answered me through Jane, and I don't know why we were chosen to go out and tell this story to everybody, to let you know that your loved ones are all right there. And there's this big, huge collaboration up there when there's a meeting like this. It gets all around heaven, and I know all your loved ones are here. Now, Jane has more of a gift. She can feel them more here. Sometimes it gets pretty emotional for us, but we know that they're all here. And one of the first times she went to heaven, she saw my dog, Barney. Now, Barney's been dead for 30 years. Yes, all our pets are there. My dog, Barney, my mom's parakeets are there. I had another dog, little Coco, a poodle. My brother had a little poodle called BC that's there. My turtles are there. They give us so many of these little turtle stories of the little tyke, and now in heaven they play with these turtles and ride them around to this area and that area, and they go and visit everybody. Heaven is this beautiful place where you're surrounded with all your loved ones, all your friends, everybody that you want to be with, and it's your own it's your own spaces. For my parents, heaven is part of Hawaiian Cove, and then they go to visit my grandparents, who their heaven is in Wisconsin, where they raise their children.
Looks like Wisconsin.
It looks like, yeah, okay. It looks like Wisconsin, where they raise their children. That's heaven to them. So they go and they visit each other, and it's not like it's a long trip. It's more like,
same room.
Let's go there. Boom, they're there. But we're here to share that story, that your loved ones are all here. And Jane has a unique gift. She visits them every night. And I get 5-10 minutes a night, maybe a month. I don't get anything. I get just little bits here and there. Well, about 4.5 years ago, when she was writing the book, I used to...
A year and a half.
Oh, I'm sorry, a year and a half ago when Jane wrote the book, I was always dependent upon her. Can you ask Mom this? Can you ask Dad that? And I'd stay awake at night waiting to listen. Well, she was writing the book, and she had bronchitis, and she was just getting over it. And we were up there at a real nice lake. It was in California, and I said, "Do you want to go fishing?" And she goes, "No, I'm going to get over this bronchitis. I'm just going to lay here." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll just stay with you." She said, "No, I want you to go down to where Harvey's Cove, where we usually go fishing, but don't go to the left, go to the right. I think you're going to like it." And I said, "Did Dad tell you? Did Dad tell you?" And so I grabbed my fishing pole, and I went down there, and I went to the right, and I threw it in. I was there maybe 10 minutes, and I caught the biggest catfish that I'd ever caught in my life. So I came back and showed it to her, and we took a picture of it. And then she told me, she says, "Richard, you can listen to your parents." And the wheels started turning. And since then, I've learned to develop my gift, not like Jane does. I'll tell you an example. The other night, we had car trouble, and we were stuck in Burlington, and we had to stay in a hotel that night. And I have all these recordings. I've been recording these things for 6 years. I never record over another recorder. I buy a new one. They're the most precious things to me in my life, these stories. Well, we left that room, and something in my head said, we forgot something. And I went back into the room, and I looked, and nope, nothing. So we went back, and the next day we looked in a couple bags, and I knew in my head, I knew it was in that room. So I called where we stayed, and they said, "Oh yeah, we have it here." But if it was 2 or 3 years ago, I would have torn everything apart looking for those things. But I knew in my head, they told me, just call there, it's there. There's so many little things. Even driving here, sometimes, am I going in the right direction? If I calm down and relax and kind of let my dad or my mom tell me, yeah, you're going in the right direction. When we're writing the book, my gifts got better and better. And now that we've been on the tour, I started to lose it a little bit because we started a whole new life. We've decided this is going to be our life, and it's been a big change to us. And then recently, I've let myself relax and hear those gifts again of my parents talking to me. But some of the things I want to share is, my dad died when I was 15, and he was my very, very best friend. We did everything together, and he died suddenly. Went in for a simple operation. He vomited, and it went down into his lungs and killed him. It was January 2nd, 1969. And I never knew what happened to my dad. I knew he died, but would I ever see him again? Could I ever, did I have to wait till I got to heaven to talk to him? Or would I ever see him in heaven? I didn't, we never talked about these things. So I went through life for 40 years wondering and questioning. Well, I know he's the best man I ever met, Did he make it to heaven, And because of Jane, I've learned that my dad is part of my life every day. And yes, he's in heaven. And so is my mom, and all my family is up there. And I've heard stories from my mom and my dad, and my grandpas and my grandpas, and my great-grandpas and my great-grandmas, my great-great-grandmas, my great-great-grandpas. It's this huge, endless